Hello and welcome back to my channel, nerds and nerdettes. Today's video is going to be covering a widely debated topic, DPI and sensitivity. What are they, and how do you find your settings that are right for you and your playstyle? First of all, let's go over DPI and some of the misconceptions around it. DPI stands for dots per inch, which basically is the amount of dots or pixels that your mouse sees per 1 inch of travel. DPI is a touchy subject for a lot of players, and this is because a large amount of players don't seem to understand what different DPI values are for. After talking to a lot of people and asking them what they think DPI is, I got a lot of people that think DPI is just another sensitivity setting or something used to fine-tune your sensitivity settings. This is wrong. Where adjusting your DPI value up and down does give you the feeling of higher or lower sensitivity, it's not actually changing the cursor's rate of movement. It's changing the amount of dots or pixels the mouse is seeing as it travels across your screen, giving the illusion of faster or slower mouse movement. With that out of the way, we could talk more about what your DPI setting actually does and how to determine what setting is right for you. DPI is basically the resolution that your mouse uses to feel itself move. Your mouse uses an optical laser sensor that watches the mouse pad move beneath it, and as it moves, it counts a certain amount of movement as a dot. It's easier to think of the dot as a pixel that the mouse translates movement to. If you move your mouse 1 inch at 400 DPI, as long as the mouse acceleration is disabled and all Windows settings are default, the crosshair will move exactly 400 pixels. Think of DPI almost like a 144Hz monitor. Your mouse's polling rate is the amount that your mouse reports back to your system on the position it is currently in, and your DPI is like the frame rate that you're running on that monitor. So if you have a mouse with a polling rate of 1000, but your DPI is set to 400, you're leaving precious accuracy on the table. Your mouse is skipping over 600 pixels to get to its destination. And in games like BRs, where shots can be taken at over 200 meters, those pixels are precious. Having your mouse not recognize 1 pixel could be the difference between a 250 meter headshot and a miss. Needless to say, DPI is vitally important and has been ignored as to how it should be properly utilized for years. DPI values should be set with your mouse's polling rate, the resolution of your monitor, and your monitor's refresh rate in mind. For example, it'll take more movement for a DPI of 1000 to travel across a resolution of 2560 by 1440 than a resolution of 1920 by 1080. But if your mouse has a maximum polling rate of 500, it can't even report back half of that DPI to the computer. With these things in mind, I set my personal DPI to 1600 in COD Warzone with a 2560 by 1440 monitor at 144Hz and a mouse with a polling rate of 1000. Some mice, like my Logitech here, comes with software that allows you to separate your DPI values for when a game is running and when you're on the desktop, so you don't have to worry about your cursor flying about your screen while you're trying to browse the internet. Sensitivity, however, is a much easier value to find, especially if you're focusing on one game at a time. If you're playing multiple games, it can be a little bit more difficult, as some games have different number values for sensitivity than others. For instance, in Overwatch, a sensitivity of 10 is the equivalent of a sensitivity of 3 in Counter-Strike, if you're both at 400 DPI. So needless to say, it will be easier to find sensitivity that you find comfortable when you're just starting out if you focus on playing one game at a time. Then, as you fine-tune your sensitivity to a place where you feel most effective, you can then translate that to different games once you have more experience. And there are calculators on the internet that help you match that sensitivity across multiple games. A tried and true way to find your good base sensitivity is to go by a metric known as centimeters per 360. It's kind of self-explanatory, but centimeters per 360 is the amount of centimeters your mouse travels per full 360-degree turn in your in-game character. I always find this initial value by placing my mouse on one side of my mouse pad and moving it to the other side. Once I can achieve a full 360 from right to left, I'll consider that my base sensitivity and adjust it from there. So in order to get my centimeter per 360 value, what I do is I take my mouse and I put it all the way to the right of my mouse pad, as far right as I dare go. And then I just turn my character all the way around until I've done a 360. And that is my centimeters per 360. So from right to left, that is about 48 centimeters. So 48 centimeters per 360. And it's gonna be different for everybody because obviously I have a massive mouse pad. So if you have a much smaller mouse pad, you're going to want your centimeters per 360 value to be within your mouse pad, obviously. So it's going to be much smaller. And then you can add or take away from your sensitivity from that, depending on how it feels. If you want to be more mobile, then you want to add sensitivity. If you want to be more accurate, then you want to take away sensitivity. The reason for that is the higher sensitivity that you have, the less input is needed for your mouse to pick it up and represent it on the screen. So the tiniest little movement at a higher sensitivity will cause shaking and stuttering in your crosshair. If you have a lower sensitivity, then it takes bigger mouse movements for it to be represented in your crosshair. So little micro stutters and stuff don't present themselves. The problem is with having a lower sensitivity is your mobility is changed. Now, in order for me to fight somebody that may be coming up behind me or something like that, I have to move my mouse much further, which takes more time to get to them to fight them. And that might be different in other games. You know, there's games where you're fighting much closer to one another than in a BR game. Like BR games, a lot of fights are taken at longer ranges, so you can have a lower sensitivity for better accuracy and not really worry too much about having to turn around as fast. But in like really close TDM games, you probably want to be able to acquire targets much faster, so you'd want to have a higher sensitivity. It all depends basically on the feel, how it feels to you. Do you feel like at a higher sensitivity you can still be accurate? Do you feel like at a lower sensitivity you can still move quickly and get out of the way of danger? As far as my own mouse sensitivity goes, this is where I have it at. Got mouse sensitivity at 1.9 and with a 1-to-1 ratio across the board, with ADS mouse sensitivity on relative, low zoom multiplier at 1.7, high zoom 1.7, sensitivity transition timing instant, and monitor distance coefficient 1.33. Once you have your DPI set to where you want it to be, you shouldn't have to set it again after that. You just set it to represent your hardware appropriately, your monitor, your mouse, your polling rate, things like that. You just make sure that it's reporting back as much information as it should, and then you set your sensitivity according to that. Thank you so much for watching. If you want more videos like this, then you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button with the little bell turned on so you know when I make more videos like this. If you liked this video or you found it useful to you in any kind of way, you can hit the like button. And if you want to have a conversation about the contents of this video or any other video that I have, go ahead and leave a comment. But that's going to do it for me on this one, and I'll catch you guys next time. Ta-ta for now.